All right, everybody, welcome back to WhoVersus. This is Phil and James. We have a very special guest here today, Yeonmi Park, very well known in this country and probably all around the world, I imagine at this point. For those who don't know, most famously, you defected from North Korea in 2014 or 13?
2007.
2007. That was way off.
Yeah.
Way off. Yeah. So when did you come to the United States then?
2016.
2016.
Yeah,
okay, so
there's
those are
a
my
long
dates.
journey to reach freedom, actually. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things we wanted to talk to you about today is your impressions of America. Sort of, you came here as an adult. How old were you?
I was 21.
21. So you were an adult. So you're able to sort of see America from like a first-time perspective from an adult's eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, why don't you talk us through the process of defecting from North Korea? Number one, how do you do that? And where do you go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wrote a book. It's such a long journey. But basically, it came to a point when I was 13 years old, I was really starving. I couldn't find things to eat. Luckily, though, I was living in the border town of North Korea, a city called Haesan. Across this frozen Yalu River, it was China. Oh. And at nighttime, I was able to see these electricity lights. Right, like if you guys have seen the satellite picture of North Korea nighttime,
there's no lights.
Yeah, there are no lights. So in that darkness, I was able to see the lights, and I guess maybe if I go where the lights are, I might be able to find a bowl of rice. So that curiosity led me to escape from North Korea at 13 in 2007. Initially, I did cross the frozen Yalu River with my mother into China. As soon as I got to China, I realized I was being sold as sex slave to Chinese human traffickers. Wow. Because of Chinese one-child policy, there are 33 million men cannot find wives right now. So there's a lot of demand for sex slaves in China, and that's where North Korean women are being sold.
I see.
I was one of those, and I was separate from my mother. And then many months later, I found her back. And 2 years of my slavery, in 2009, when I was 15 years old, I met Christian missionaries from South Korea.
Okay. Wow.
Who were rescuing North Korean defectors like myself.
Yeah.
And they told us there was a way to be out of that darkness.
Yeah.
And they said we had to walk across frozen Gobi Desert into Mongolia from China. And I did that journey, and I survived the desert. Wow. And in Mongolia, I was sent to South Korea. So that's how I became free.
So this all started because you saw lights in the distance. There was no road for you to follow. You just went towards the lights.
I mean, there's no internet. I've never even seen the map of the world.
You hadn't seen the map of what the world
looked
like.
I did not even know that I was Asian. So in North Korea, North Korean calendar begins when Kim Il-sung was born.
What do they think happened before that?
We don't know that.
They just don't teach.
They don't teach us. Maybe the elites might get different. I mean, Kim Jong-un himself went to Switzerland, but North Korea has 51 different castes. Oh. Based on your caste system, your education, how much ration you receive by the government determines.
How do they determine caste? Family?
Interesting. So right now in America, we divide people by their skin color, right? If your ancestors were white and owned slaves, they say you are like oppressor. In North Korea, they could not play that race game because we're a homogeneous nation. So they decided based on what your ancestors did, we're going to divide people. So if your ancestor was a landowner, they say your blood is tainted. Your genetics is oppressive. If your ancestor, your great-grandfather fought in the Communist Party along with the Kim Il-sung, they say you have a revolutionary blood.
And so you're higher up.
Yeah, so based on your ancestors' crime, your caste is determined. So it's nothing to do with who you are, where you want to be. Just you don't choose your ancestors, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. You don't choose your skin color.
Yeah.
So that's how North Korea divided people into 51 different castes.
51?
Yeah.
Wow. And so based on your caste, is that how much food you get?
Or what
like
housing
cars,
you
what
live?
House, what clothes?
I mean, you cannot own cars. No, there's no private property, right? Nobody can own a home. Nobody can own a car. But where you study, what you get to
Yes, okay.
study, or
So you are allowed
who
to
you
study?
marry. No, based on your caste.
Okay.
But you are allowed to study up until like high school because
Uh-huh.
they have to brainwash you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a necessity
Kinda
thing for the
sounds like here.
regime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to sound
Exactly.
like that,
But
yeah.
then for college, it's determine your caste. If
Yeah.
you're so only 5% of the population, most 90% of them are men. They choose to go to the university, higher education, but
Mhm.
they all come from the high caste.
Okay.
But the problem is because it's not meritocracy,
Mhm.
really this imbecile like idiots become doctors
Yeah.
Wow.
because they just had the right ancestors.
right ancestors, the right connections.
Not about really more, your connection to the party, right? But then
Okay,
you
yeah.
also had to have a right ancestor. It doesn't matter even if you're like such a nice person, want to make
Yeah.
good connection. If you had somebody in your ancestry had a tendency to support capitalism or intellectual, you're out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. Okay. So North Korea participates in the Olympics sometimes, right?
they
So
do.
how do they determine who gets to be an athlete? By
The
natural
government,
ability?
no,
Or
government choose.
They
So
just say you're a gymnast.
So they go on the schools
Yeah.
and then choose the kids who are talented.
Mhm.
But then they also have to check their like family ancestries, check if anybody was a traitor, if anybody was a defector, anybody was a landowner, intellectual.
Yeah.
Then if nobody's that, they do become the athlete. Government choose them.
In the international stage, like for the Olympics or something like that, what would be more important to a person running North Korea? To win a gold medal or to send somebody to the Olympics that meets all of these criteria?
That meets criteria comes first.
Okay. So you don't even
So-
get sent unless you first meet
Oh
the criteria.
yeah, of course not. I mean, you don't get to even be
You
in
don't get to leave.
Pyongyang. You don't even get to be in the capital. There's no freedom of movement for North Korean people. So based on that, then they can determine, okay, can you become an athlete? Can you become a doctor?
Mhm.
So it's really none of that, like, you know.
Wow.
One of the things you've talked a lot about is some of the similarities you see in this country rising up that aren't quite like North Korea. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're nowhere near that, but you've talked about some of the little seeds of
Yeah.
authoritarianism and totalitarianism here that are sort of rising up. Like, what are some things that you're noticing that are just the very beginnings of that in this country?
Many things. I mean, one is that like how people are being divided
Yeah.
by your ancestors, right?
Right.
Like I had no saying in what my ancestors did, but
Right.
now somehow you have to be guilty about it, especially white people. They get persecuted for their ancestors' crime. That is one. The second thing is that concerns me a lot is the loss of meaning in the words.
Yeah.
Words doesn't mean
Mm.
so. Like when I was at Columbia University, they say it's a safe space. Safe space supposedly like where nobody punch you physically, right?
Right,
No
right.
bullets
Yeah.
are coming through. But safe space is supposedly the emotionally nobody challenges your thoughts.
Yeah.
So they came redefining these terms to the people. So like in George Orwell's book, slavery is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Like and
Yeah.
like a man can
Yeah.
be a woman.
Right.
Like like a
Yeah.
gender is a different thing than sex. Like you keep diluting these words, and most of people not gonna be like, what are you talking about? There's no consensus.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find truth when you don't know what this word mean.
Yeah.
And just like that in North Korea, they diluted so much words, and they moved on from that. They started eliminating words. This is
So they're just getting rid of the words
Yeah,
entirely
it's-
instead of just changing definitions.
this reminds me of cancel culture in America, where
Oh my gosh.
we cannot call the master bedroom, do you know? Because
Right,
the
Slavery, yeah.
right, the slavery.
Yeah.
So in North Korea, they got rid of the word even gay. So people don't know what gay is.
Right.
Like so, and there's no word for freedom. There's no word for individual liberty
Yeah. Or property or
even-
ownership.
or even love. Do you know in North Korea the word profit is banned?
God.
Because we are not just allowed to know what profit is. If you don't know what profit is, how am I gonna make money?
Yeah.
Right? So they just started deleting these words, and people's understanding of the word gets so reduced.
Gosh. There's no like money. Like you don't have cash in North Carolina.
We
North Korea,
did at
right?
the black market, but
Mhm.
then government one day in 2009, they decided that we don't want these people to gather assets.
Yeah.
So they decided your money worth nothing. So it became a trash.
That's funny. Our government said our money's worth nothing too.
You know, it's to keep printing it,
Just
but,
keep printing.
but
yeah.
this is one they said like the US dollar is not recognized as a currency. It's not backed by anything. It just becomes like the worst in toilet paper.
Yeah.
So people just burning those money and just committing suicide. That's how much power government can have.
Yeah.
Before we sort of go into your thoughts on your living in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
what could be done to make North Korea a better place?
China. 'Cause
China.
Chinese regime, CCP, runs North Korean government.
Yeah.
They sponsor this dictatorship. Like China runs the biggest concentration camp in human history. North Korea as a nation is a concentration
Yeah.
camp
Pretty
state.
much. Sounds
right?
like it.
The whole nation is a camp, and China sponsors it. Kim Jong-un cannot maintain power even 1 week without CCP.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, remember when Trump was trying to meet him? Kim Jong-un would go to Beijing for 4 times
Yeah.
preparing that
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Like literally everything Kim Jong-un had to do was what CCP told him to do.
Yeah.
So the changing North Korea is not up to even Kim Jong-un, it's up to CCP. So
Okay.
if
Well, I don't want to stay on this too long, but why would China not want North Korea to get better? Like, why would they want them to be in this terrible state?
so there are many reasons. Like top 3. One is a buffer zone. There's a South Korea,
Yeah.
Japan has a US army. It buffers the
Yeah.
zone from this like freedom comes to their door.
Mhm.
But also there's another thing for Chinese people. Like look at North Korea, they are worse than us.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they are like biggest human rights, violators there. You don't look as bad.
Yeah,
When North Korea is
yeah.
next door.
Right.
But the last one is a leverage stick to America. Whenever North Korea goes crazy and conducting all these missile tests,
Yeah.
who doesn't America call? They beg Chinese, can you talk to North Korea to stop these
Yeah.
threats over Japan, over the sea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's the biggest leverage against America. So, the America cannot keep North Korea behave.
Yeah.
Only China can.
Yeah.
So because of the leverage stake, it's the biggest benefit for China to maintain North Korea as it's like the mafia state.
Gosh. I never thought that those 3 reasons make perfect sense. I never thought of it particularly. Well, the buffer makes tons of sense, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by the U.S. Army effectively in South Korea and
Yeah.
Japan. But I never thought about the idea of not having the worst house on the street. It's like, well, you think it's bad in China, look next to us, right?
Yeah.
They are preserving that almost for a talking point.
Yep.
Gosh. Wow. Well, Phil, do you want to transition to
Yeah. We, how
something
do,
a little
I
more
wanted to
right?
jump in and say because Kim Jong Il obviously is a big cinephile and wrote a book on movies,
Yeah.
The Art of Cinema, which is kind of an interesting read just because a lot of stuff in there is so bizarre about
Mm-hmm.
the theory of movies. I was wondering how big movies are as a cultural touchstone in North Korea because you mentioned before seeing Western movies in North Korea and there's a lot of cases where people get executed for watching Western
Yeah.
movies. So I'm just curious how big is that in the culture in North Korea?
It's huge because the brainwashing,
Mhm.
that's a movie is one of the form of the tool for the government to brainwash people.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of movies that is mandatory for us to watch.
Okay.
And there's only one channel in North Korea. The good thing about North Korea is there's no generation gap. They don't have a lot of money to keep making new movies.
Yeah.
So they recycle movies that were made in 60s, 50s,
Yeah.
70s. So still the same movies we are keep watching every generation. So we all kind of have a same culture,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are there good ones? Are there ones that you look back now and you're like, that was actually a pretty good movie?
At the time, I thought they were great.
Okay.
I
Maybe
thought
not so
they were
much
all
anymore.
Great,
You have nothing to compare it to. So you
Exactly.
probably,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the movies are probably about the heroes of the communist revolution.
No, it's all about the dear leader.
Or it's all about
And
the
yeah,
okay.
also how we need to die for the Communist Party. What an honorable thing it is for us to serve the party and die for it. And every theme of the movie is propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
well, this wouldn't be WhoVersus unless we played a little competitive game.
Yeah.
So James and I want to talk to you a little bit about just your time and what you think about the U.S., what restaurants you like to go to. How do you spend your day to day? But while doing that, you familiar with Jenga?
I am.
I am?
Yeah.
All right. Do you know the rules?
This is the first interview I've ever had to play Jenga.
All right.
Okay.
So rules of Jenga are quite simple. You just poke out a stick, you put it on top, and whoever makes it fall over loses.
Got
And then
it.
pays for dinner.
No.
All right,
We're not
perfect.
gonna-
making you pay
Let's
for
do
dinner.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeonmi, you want to do the honors and we'll just start,
Yeah.
we'll get going.
Okay. Do I go dangerously?
Live dangerously.
Okay. Here.
So one of the things, James, one of the
Uh-huh.
things we were wondering is just day to day, now that you live here, how do you spend your time?
It's beautiful. I love day to day. When I get to wake up in the morning, I check the news. I don't know, it's like how normal people check their start day.
Yeah.
In North Korea, I've never like got to have a real access to news.
Yeah.
I've never
Right.
had access to even know what's happening in the world.
Sure.
So I check the news. I do Pilates
Okay.
every
Yeah.
day. I like my problem in North Korea was like finding calories, finding
Sure.
food. Now my day, most of the day is a community to like burn these
Welcome to
calories.
America.
Exactly.
You went from one extreme to the other, really.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you live in New York.
I live in
area?
New York.
Okay. Have you traveled throughout the U.S.?
Yes, I
and What is your
have.
favorite place in the U.S. besides New York?
I like the South in
You like
general,
South,
America.
yes.
It makes me feel like I'm in America. In New
Yeah.
York, honestly, it does not make you feel like I'm in America,
Right.
obviously.
It's a pretty international
Yeah, it's like
city.
in New York City, right?
Yeah.
But whenever I go to somewhere like Texas or in the South, you
Mhm.
still feel that tradition of America, the
Mhm.
hospitality, the
Yeah.
just kindness of people. So my dream is someday I can escape New York.
Yeah.
One
You and
more
Kurt Russell.
time. Exactly. One more time. One
Right.
last escape
Well, wait
to
for
the
the
South.
Hudson to freeze and you can walk
Exact-
across the, is it the
Yeah.
Hudson River? I don't know.
It-
Hopefully it doesn't come
I
to that.
know.
Yeah.
Let me do this.
Oh, man. You are.
You are
Okay.
a risk taker,
You're
Yeonmi.
very-
If you touch, you have to remove it, right?
You know what?
We're
You don't have
loosey-
to.
We're loosey-goosey
We're
on the
loosey goosey
rules.
around here.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Yeonmi.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, she's pretty good.
All right, you're a killer.
Yeah, this is.
Okay, I don't want to ever touch this thing ever again.
Yeah, don't rock the table.
Yeah.
So, the South.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food to eat when you travel to Texas or somewhere in the South?
I have to be very honest. What was the thing that was the scooter thing in? Some store that had a gas station, but
was
had
Buc-ee's?
a
Buc-ee's?
Buc-ee.
You love Buc-ee's?
That was like
Whoa.
the
Good answer.
funniest
That's a
thing
great
ever.
answer.
Actually, it was I had this brisket like.
Yeah, the brisket sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh my
very
god,
good.
it was the best thing
Yeah.
I've ever had.
Yeah.
We need a Buc-ee's in New York.
my-
It's
we need a
so
Buc-ee's on the
fun.
East Coast.
Yeah.
Well, there's one in South Carolina.
Yeah?
And it's a Texas thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that
primarily.
in like Alabama. I went
You
to
saw one in
one.
Alabama,
Yeah, it was amazing.
So what's it like when you show up to a Buc-ee's and there's like 100 different gas pumps
I
and it's the
know.
place is, the size of a football field? Like, what's going through your head?
I mean, you start worshiping capitalism. What else would you be
Worship that
doing,
beaver
right?
out
Yeah, it's
front of
like
the statue.
you have to love capitalism. I mean, seriously, the just diversity of options, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember when I came to America, first place I went was at Walmart. I
Yeah.
got to pick up some apple. Do you know there are a dozen types of apples? So that's one apple.
Yeah.
And like there's a dozen types of toothpaste.
Yeah.
It's a cavity care, whitening care,
Yeah.
hair care. I'm like mint,
Right.
no. It just I was like, oh my god, I love freedom. Like I
Yeah.
love free market.
And of course, a person who loves freedom would say Buc-ee's brisket sandwich.
Yeah,
Walmart.
exactly.
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart.
Yeah. So I hate to go
Yeah.
back to North Carolina. Why do I keep saying North Carolina? North Korea.
Exactly.
It's even worse than North Carolina.
Yeah.
When you're a kid growing up, what do you my kids want to be like a firefighter or a
Mm.
princess or something like that. When you're a kid in North Korea, what do you dream to do? What are you told to dream? To serve the party? To serve the leader? Or can you say like, I want to be a doctor or
So
something?
this is the thing where life in North Korea, if you're the average person, not in
Mhm.
the party, your next meal is not guaranteed.
So you're not dreaming about what you're going to do when you grow up. You're
You're
saying,
looking for
when
if-
am I going to get fed? How
like
can I
yeah,
eat?
if you ate breakfast, then you have to eat lunch or
Yeah.
dinner. Like you usually North Koreans skip lunch. But then in North Korea, hunger means death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, every day when we go to sleep, we are relieved like we made one more day
Mm.
here. And my dream as a young girl was like having a bucket of bread because
Mm.
I've never ate it until I felt full.
Mhm.
So that's a commoner's dream. Like when can I be fed?
Yeah.
There's no such a thing called like, do I want to be a ballerina? Like no
Right,
such
sure.
a
It's
thing.
just, I
Yeah.
want some bread. What?
Yeah.
What was your first meal when you got here? To the U.S.
To
specifically?
the US, I don't remember what I ate, but I do remember in China, I got to eat normal food that had like seasoning in,
Yeah.
like had oil or like had a peppers in. actually I got so sick from it because my stomach was
Wasn't used to
never
that.
Wow.
used that much fat and like the nutrition. I was like horribly throwing up, having a diarrhea,
Gosh, yeah.
and I couldn't actually eat. I had to gradually introducing each ingredient.
Mhm.
You know, like when somebody come out of concentration camp, you
Yeah.
give them tons of chocolate, they die.
Yes,
Yeah.
You
right.
cannot do that. So
Right.
I did not know. So I was getting so sick in China because my stomach was not used to all that, like the meat or anything. Yeah.
Sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, if you, let's say you were in New York, you were back at Columbia, and you were speaking, and a student, graduate student, whatever, says, you know what, I'm a graduate student. They're an American, and they say, I'm a communist.
Mm.
What do you say to that person? I mean, you lived it. You
I was
know
like-
After
it's
you punch
death.
him in the face.
I know.
Yeah, after you punch them, how do you talk to them and say you don't understand? Communism's not this great idea. It's death and starvation.
I know. It's like the one thing to me, it came to me before was like where the border is open, you can go to a communist state like North Korea,
No
right?
one's stopping you.
Yeah, nobody's stopping it. It's a free country.
Yeah.
But now I do actually have a compassion for them
Mhm.
because I do think they are genuinely being brainwashed by their teachers early on. Like, I think it starts even pre-K.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's. I have a son actually right now who is in
Congratulations.
first grade.
First grade. I got a first grade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they already like have this rainbow flags, you know. It's in some sense I view that as a failure in the parent generation.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
when did we expect government to teach our children?
Right.
It was always a self-government, right?
Mhm.
That's how we found upon like individual responsibility. And I do think somehow generation before came us, they failed their children and they didn't educate them properly. And like Asia was talking about, you know, how can you imagine there's only one museum dedicated to the victims of communism?
Mhm.
Right.
Like what has killed human beings more than communism
Nothing.
has?
Nothing.
Literally nothing. The most
Not right,
destructive
not even any
ideology.
World War II, right? So like we have failed our education system. We have not taught them well about this horrible evil ideology. So in some sense they're the victims too.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm on the road and trying to talk to as many college students as I can and tell them like, you know, communism really sucks. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Well, you're up next. But while I'm asking,
I
when
know.
you're doing that, I'll ask this. Speaking of
yeah.
talking to young people, is it still pretty popular for tourists to go to North Korea? Is that still a
it's
thing?
banned.
It's banned
because
now?
remember after they killed Otto Warmbier,
Otto Warmbier, right? They banned it?
It's the department became too dangerous. It's not just only you be mischievous, they arrest you. The North Korea wants also these diplomatic tools.
Mhm.
When
Right.
they want to get concession from America,
Just
they
steal
want to
American.
they just want to capture one. Like China did that,
Yeah.
right? Like they put these Canadians in their prison
Yeah.
and try to negotiate with China, right, to get their businessmen out of their prison. So now the dictators realize, oh, they care about their life, citizens' life a lot more than we do. So we can
Yeah.
just like steal feet of it and put him there. And whenever we need one America have a concession to make, we can just like we're gonna release American citizen.
So any American citizen that wants to tour North Korea will get arrested?
No, you are not allowed to
You
get a
won't even
visa
get in.
You won't
to
even
get
get in?
in. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think you can get the visa to do it. And remember this time that the guy who ran through DMZ
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
North Korea
Yeah,
was a
sure.
Scottish like
Yeah.
Davis. What was his name?
Yeah.
The U.S. soldier.
I know who you're talking about. What
I
an
know,
idiot.
I know. So, but
Yeah.
North Korea thought, okay, he's not even useful to us. Like, send
Yeah.
him back, right?
Right. You didn't even
So,
want to-
yeah, North Korea, I don't think even they want that.
That's
I
talk
know.
about an insult when even North Korea won't take you. They're like, we don't want this guy.
So they might still use it as an English teacher.
Yeah.
Or like put you in the like playing bad
Put them in
American
a museum or a
bastard.
zoo
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
in the movie they have done that. In the past, there were some American soldiers somehow defected to North Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like mentally
Yeah.
disabled people.
Yeah.
They were like playing this American bastard in North Korean propaganda movies.
God.
And that's how they live. But this guy, North Korea, didn't even want
You're
it.
too bad. You're too stubborn.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Phil, being
We got
respectful of
time?
Yeonmi's time.
All right.
Do we break? Well, I got to do this first.
We got to knock the Jenga tower down or this doesn't count.
I know that was my time, but you did that?
All right.
Wow.
We're gonna do a speed round now. We're gonna do this as quickly as
Okay.
possible
Okay.
Until it goes down.
Okay.
until it goes down, and you can't go to your next talk until this thing comes down.
Okay.
That's me.
That's you.
Whoa.
We're there's no rules anymore.
Please don't come to my turn.
Oh, Yeonmi, you're in trouble.
Okay,
Yeonmi,
I think okay, you guys setting up to make. No.
Oh my gosh. I think Yeonmi's playing us. She knows what she's doing here.
Pro.
Ooh.
This is the
Okay. I know you might last until tomorrow.
Tower of Power.
You guys are too competitive, please.
That's why it's called WhoVersus.
That's capitalism for you.
Yeah. Wow, that's has it ever lasted this long?
No.
before? No.
Oh.
It's not my turn, thank God.
Wow. All right, Phil. Choose wisely.
Funny story, Yeonmi. We glued
Yeah.
these together. It's never coming off.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
okay,
That'd be
okay.
a terrible trick.
Oh, buddy.
No way.
Okay, I will do it with a big
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was very good.
Yeah,
Wow,
we
that's
are
well
so
played.
grateful for your time
Yeah,
and
we're
for you
honored to have you.
speaking at our Off the Record series later today.
Oh, thank you
God
so
bless
much for
you.
having me.
Yeah,
Thank
you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
God
you.
bless you too.
All right. We'll take a
Thank
break
you.
there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeonmi, such a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
for
much
making
for
the drive.
having me. Thank you.
That was great. Are we going?
All right, we're back.
Yeah, we're
Yeonmi,
back.
Yeonmi just left. I don't even know what to make of that.
I know. Jeez. You know, you talk about North Korea, you hear about it. It's a closed society. It sucks. People are starving. To put a face and a story to sort of stuff you kind of understand but don't think and dig too deeply because that hurts. That's smarts.
Yeah.
Smarts right here.
Are you
Right in the heart, Phil. That's
Are you surprised that she said Buc-ee's is her
That
favorite
was-
place?
I didn't.
Buc-ee's
If I had
brisket
scripted
sandwich.
this, I would have said like when she was describing, I was like, kind of sounds like you're saying Buc-ee's. Are you Buc-ee's?
Yeah. She goes the Texas place, the gas station,
Oh,
Buc-ee's.
But it's like Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
The beef jerky bar.
Yeah.
We should have went in deep on beef jerky.
I'm stunned. I'm
Yeah,
stunned.
that
Like,
was really.
I don't even know what to make of that.
That's kind of sad, but obviously hopeful because of her, and she's spreading the word. But
You know what's kind of cool about her though is she doesn't seem bitter.
no,
She seems like almost well, she should be happy. She lives here.
Yeah.
Like she seems like joyous and fortunate that she gets to do this and sort of spread that gospel.
I have a theory about that.
I'm sure.
I have a theory about everything. This one's half baked, like all my theories.
Mhm.
The bitter people die. The bitter people don't make it. If you're bitter and not hopeful, you die.
Yeah.
You don't make it.
You saying the black pilled?
I guess black pill, red pill,
Yeah.
blue pill, white pill, all this crap. I don't talk like that, and I never will.
I have a text
But-
from you 20 minutes ago that says, Phil, I'm very black pilled today.
Yes. I'm just saying the bitter people don't make it. The bitter
Yeah.
people don't walk
We need a
towards
reason
the
to live.
lights across the frozen Yalu.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, the Gobi Desert, huge desert. Didn't know that was frozen too.
Did she say?
Minus 40 degrees Celsius, I believe.
Golly,
Did
there's
she
just
say
no
she
moisture.
walked across
She
the
walked
Gobi
across
Desert?
the Gobi Desert to Mongolia.
I don't know how that's possible.
I don't know either.
That's insane.
That's tough. That's tough.
Where do we
I
go
don't-
from here?
I don't know
First
how-
off, Jenga, she loved it.
She loved it. That's a keeper. We're doing Jenga. I think Jenga's our thing. It so takes you out of the awkwardness of where to put your hands. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so
Well,
fidgety.
well, you're awkward about it.
I'm
not.
awkward. You're cool as a cucumber. I am so fidgety in my life and normal, and then I get self-conscious about just. I did better. That's the first time I've played Jenga.
You've never
Just
played
never
Jenga?
played it before.
Bull
I
honky.
swear to you, on my
That's a lie.
honeymoon in St. Thomas, they had one of those giant Jenga games outside for like if it's raining during when you're out by the pool, you play. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's the first time I played. I kind of like it. Sort of like break the ice
Yeah.
or whatever the other game is where you pull the. Anyway, how do we transition to this?
Well, first off, do we want to
Let's go to the weather.
Let's do the weather first. Now,
And-
you said you wanted to go to
Pocatello, Idaho.
Pocatello, Idaho. Okay. Pocatello, Idaho, September 26th, 2024 is 81 degrees with a high of 81. The 5-day forecast is a high of 90 and a low of 51 on Friday.
So they, like the Gobi Desert, they don't have a lot of humidity to keep
No.
that heat. Once that sun goes down, you're getting cold. Phil, what is it sunny there in Pocatello? Is it gonna be sunny?
Yeah,
this
it's
week?
it's going to be sunny all week in Pocatello, and it's going to get a little cloudy next Wednesday. But basically, if you've got outdoor plans, now's the time to do them in Pocatello.
What's the air quality? Or are we
Ooh,
getting too deep
Well,
into that?
air quality says moderate, 52. I don't know what 52 means, but
Was the
52
scale
is
out
the
of
number.
1,000?
I don't know.
Maybe 10,000.
It's just
it's probably 100.
It just says moderate air quality.
Pocatello.
UV index is 4. There's a
Moderate.
9-mile-an-hour wind with 17-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Is that out of the southwest?
That
It
is
doesn't
out of the
matter. It
south.
doesn't
It is out of the southwest,
I
and
assumed.
sunset is at 7:18.
I assume south.
So get outside in Pocatello.
Pocatello. Sounds like a mushroom.
Yeah.
Sounds like a type of mushroom. Or one of your relatives. Uncle Pocatello.
Yeah.
That's fun. We're having fun here. We're having a good
Hey, you
time.
remember when you called North Korea North Carolina
did
for the
say
last
North Carolina.
25 minutes to a North
You know
Korean
what?
defector?
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
And she's such a pro.
that was
She
that was
just-
regrettable.
she
Actually,
just kept
I
moving.
said the first time I said North Korea, and the second time I just went North Carolina.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Buc-ee's that got me
The
thinking,
Buc-ee's.
because there's one in like Florence, South Carolina. Say, what do you got there, Phil?
Uh,
What is that?
I don't know how you and I want to talk about this article. That's not really
It's
what
dark.
we do.
We're
It-
going from a dark topic with light at the end of the tunnel.
light at the end of the
She's
tunnel.
a
Just
lovely
a ray of light.
young lady that's just crushing it and doing great things, and
An ambassador for freedom.
an ambassador for freedom and capitalism and the American way. And then this.
And then this.
This
we go to the
drops.
weather. And this drops right in our lap. I
Read
don't
the
know-
title.
The title is
This is
is
out
the
of
best
Politico
title.
today.
One pistol clip can change the balance of power. Congress is wholly unprepared for a mass casualty event. I don't know where you want to go with this, but what this article basically says is the feds have to be prepared to put in a unelected Congress if for whatever reason there's a mass casualty event and 50 or 100 or the entire Congress gets wiped out.
mhm.
If you ask me, that's bad news.
The fact that they would write this 40 some odd days
Yes.
out from probably the closest election in the history of our country tells me that's pre-programming. They always like to show their hand about what they're going to do. That tells me, like, why would they just come up with this now?
Yeah.
The Cold War's over. The threat of thermonuclear war actually is probably higher than it was now, but that's because of our foreign policy. But I'm saying the contingencies, the Greenbrier, the continuity of government, they thought about that from 1947, 6 on. Why bring this up 40 days before an election?
You think it's because Trump got shot twice? Shot at twice,
No,
I should
I
say?
think this is what the prophet sage of our generation, Alex Jones, calls
Here, here.
pre-programming.
Pre-programming.
They never just like initiate an idea. They always tell you, oh, cyber attack would be so bad. A global pandemic would be so bad. Could you imagine? Oh, get ready. And then they do it. That's what this reminds me of.
What I hate most
And
about
I'm
this,
cynical, but
one of the things
golly.
that, no, it's right to be cynical to some extent. One of the things I hate about this is one of the solutions to preventing Congress from being wiped out is that every member of Congress would have to choose a number of 5 people to take their place should they die.
who would your 5 people be?
Oh, that's a great question. I could pick anybody or somebody realistic.
Somebody realistic.
Somebody realistic. Okay, so you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'm gonna go. Who's that Turkish guy that just won the pistol competition with one hand?
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, he can't work. I said realistic. That guy's not a U.S. citizen. There's no way.
Yeonmi Park.
I'm
I'm going you. I'm going Yeonmi.
I think I'd put Yeonmi. No, I'd go me first.
I go you first.
Yeah, you're right.
you've
You're
earned
right.
it.
Why am I
Um,
second guessing you? You're
yeah.
the brain.
Yeah, I'm the
Okay,
one.
so me, Yeonmi Park. Who's number 3 for you?
I'm gonna go Don Jr.
Yep.
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 Man. Are we doing realistic or not? If it's realistic, it can't be Ted
Realistic.
Nugent. So you, Yeonmi, Don Jr. You're gonna think this is nuts, but the guy across my street has a lawn service. The guy who cuts his lawn has to be one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Okay.
I think his name is Will.
Is that
That's 4.
4? Who's number 5?
And then I'm gonna go number 5. I'm gonna go. Who's the guy that did Gruff the Crime Dog's voice?
I don't know.
I want him.
No one knows. But
I want
yeah,
him. Yeah, I want him.
that's your
Who are your
wild
5?
card pick. Okay, this one's Well, now I got to change it because you picked me, so I got to pick you. So you, Phil, right out of the
Honored.
gate. Number 2, the wife.
The wife.
Number
That's-
3,
Come on.
my letter carrier, mailman,
Yeah.
Jonathan, Mr. Jonathan, Mr. J, as we call him. Number 4, Yeonmi. Number 5, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Ted
This is
Danson.
realistic. If
He's a real person.
yes, he's a
Yeah,
real
I'm not
person.
gonna. If you can't have Ted Nugent,
If
I can't
have Nugent, you can't
Yeah, I
have
can't have
Danson.
Ted Danson. Then my dad.
Your dad.
I'll have my dad do
That's a
it.
good one.
You clearly don't respect your father. That you didn't even consider naming him.
Do you want to talk about some deep emotions? You want to go there? You want to talk about
Stay
some
tuned
family
for
trauma?
episode 4.
Episode 4.
No,
Phil's family trauma.
And I've met your father, and I have trauma from that
Yeah.
meeting, so I can't imagine
Yeah.
what you're dealing with.
Do you remember when he thought you were half Native American,
Yeah.
even though you're full-blooded Irish?
He,
I said, Pop, look at the size of this guy's head.
yeah, well, that's a can of worms. Again, that's hours of therapy. We're yeah, I'm not moving on. No, but I mean, I think in episode 1 we talked about how one of the main things that the left and Hollywood, our culture, is trying to do is destroy fathers.
Yeah.
And it was what's the movie? Land of Bad.
Land of
The guy's
Bad.
like, my father's my hero. My
Yeah.
dad is my hero.
That's good.
Your
That's great
dad
to
is
hear.
not your hero.
Well, I don't want to go down that road.
All right, we'll close the door on that. That's a different show. Boy, I thought it was going to get awkward with Yeonmi because she's so serious and intelligent.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot more
Yeah.
awkward with just you and I.
Yeah.
So let's get back to Politico.
Do you want
You have highlighted quite a bit of this
Well, I did some
article.
reading. I prepared. Did you prepare?
So jealous.
You did. No, I think that's my point, is that having them pick 5 people to take their place is undemocratic. I don't like this idea.
Yeah.
Like, we have special elections in this country for a reason.
Yeah.
Just let the people decide. This is a terrible idea. To your point, I don't know if it's pre-programming or what it is, but basically this is to institutionalize a cabal of people that aren't elected by the American people.
Totally agree. So back to your father. I couldn't even get it
You
out.
can't do it.
I couldn't even
You
get it out.
can't do it.
Well, you know what's interesting? They talk about the 17th Amendment in there, which you think of direct election of senators, but also they have a continuity of government. The I think it's all but 5 states the governor appoints.
Yeah.
And then they run flat out at the next general, or head to head at the next general, or however. Louisiana's got a jungle primary. I don't know how that works, but I thought that was interesting. But House members, like, yeah, I think this is dark, and I think it's a weird time to talk about this. The time to write this article is January 7th, 2021,
Yeah.
the day after Patriots Day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Edit.
edit, strong edit. Not 45-ish, 44 days before the most consequential election in our lifetimes.
They all seem to get to the point of being the most important election of our lifetime. It's because they all are. Every 4 years, the stakes get higher.
Yes.
And it's going to get, and honestly, that sort of brings us back to this thing, is the stakes get higher every single cycle.
Yeah.
And there's more power in this town than there ever was before.
Right.
And that's why they're all worried about getting killed,
Yeah.
is because they have all the power.
Yeah.
The answer to this, if you ask me, delegate
Yeah.
most of that power back to the states,
Yeah.
so that there's not just a few guys in Washington that have to be worried about their lives.
That is such a good point.
If only there was a word for it.
Yeah. What would you call that? Federal?
We could call it something.
Federalism?
Federal something.
Yeah. The presidential election should not be this high risk. It
Yeah.
should not be giving people panic attacks
Yeah.
and nightmares.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the guy that executes the laws that your local person,
Yeah.
congressman, senator in some cases, writes to the benefit of presumably you or the nation. The president, it's not. This is scary, dark stuff. Like, you're talking about pills. That's some black pills.
That's a black pill. I'm not,
That's a black
but you're white pilled, right? Like, you're optimistic about the future. You have to be. You have kids. How could you have kids and not be
Yeah, that's a good
optimistic?
point.
You have to be.
I'm short-term optimist, long-term pessimist. Most people say the opposite.
I
I'm
am-
a short-term pessimist, long-term optimist. I'm the opposite.
I'm
I know
optimist
how
both
this
ways.
story ends.
I'm optimist both ways.
I think we got to talk the next episode 4, about where this is headed. Dun dun dun, cue dun 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 music. But I know how the story ends, and I'd be happy to share it with you, Phil. You know how the story ends too. That's why I'm a short-term optimist, long-term pessimist.
He's coming back.
But then I guess if we're talking temporal optimism, I'm pessimistic long term, but if we're looking at an eternity, optimistic because I'm a Christian. So as are you.
Can I take us out with a hard right turn to a different topic, and then we're going to get out of here for today? This
Yes.
last week, I had the experience of my life. I, with some colleagues, drove to Reading, Pennsylvania, and I saw Tucker Carlson,
Yep.
Jack Posobiec, and Alex Jones on stage at an arena.
Mhm.
We were late. It was because of traffic, so we caught Alex Jones just in time.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, that entire crowd was on their feet and electrified
Yeah.
for the full 40 minutes that guy was up there. There are clips all over the net about what he was saying. He owned that
Yeah,
crowd.
he's a-
And then like you couple that 2 days later, some report comes out that they're taking away Jones's company.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, he will come out of this bigger and stronger. I'd never
bet.
seen him live before.
Yeah.
Never really watched like a full episode of his show, just clips
Just
online.
the clips. Yeah.
Those people were on their feet for an
Yeah.
hour. For this
Commanded.
guy.
I listened to it on the way in this morning. Hairs on my neck, on my arms, everywhere.
Yeah.
Lots of hairs, as Trump would say, all standing up. Some of the best hairs.
Some of the best hairs.
And he was electric. I was almost cheering along. I'm in my
Yeah.
car, like in bumper to bumper traffic, looking like a goof, just like 1776. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That dude's optimistic.
Yeah.
Globalists, you want a war, you've got it. Electric.
Electric,
That's
yeah.
episode 4.
Yeah.
We talk about that optimism, what it takes in here, right in here, to get that level of optimism.
All right. I guess that's it for this episode. We're going to be back, I think, for episode 4.
If we're alive.
If we're still here.
Yeah.
And we got some things planned. We got some social medias planned. We're going to try to make this a thing. All right.
Thank you.
James, well done.